Is anyone else bugged out by the fact that you're never going to get to see what the real Star Wars episodes 7 through 9 would have been like? I mean, seriously, I've been thinking about it because I've been reading the book The Similarian. And if you know about The Similarian, then you know how it's part of the whole Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings mythos or whatever you want to call it story. And basically, J.R.R. Tolkien died before he could write the final portion of the story. And really, in all reality, I think it's a three-part act or a three-part story that consists of not The Hobbit. The Hobbit is a baby book, but The Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings, and whatever the third book was going to be called, because there was going to be a third book that had the return of Morgoth in some kind of final great war that took place in what was left of Arda and Middle Earth and everything. So it was like, because if you know the story of the Silmarillion, you know like half the world was buried. But anyways, basically I was thinking about it though, and I was just getting pissed off and bugged because I was just, how frustrating would it be to have, like, say Tolkien was still alive, okay? Say Tolkien was still alive and he could write us the last Lord of the Rings book. Would it not be frustrating for him to sell the franchise and then someone just shit all over it? Because that's what I feel like Disney did to Star Wars. So, I mean, maybe I'm a dick for saying that, but, like, I mean, seriously, it bugs me more because the guy is still around. George Lucas is still around. I mean, we could easily could have had episodes 7 through 9 by him, and instead people freaking treated the guy like shit and tortured him until basically he was forced to sell his own idea and everything. I mean, seriously, it is kind of jacked up. The fans caused it, but like I said before, I mean, I don't know if it bugs anybody else, but it bugs me because I think there would have probably been something truly special with episodes 7 through 9 if George had directed it and not just a bunch of random people. Like, and you know what? Maybe having other people direct it would have been the right choice, and maybe because here's the thing: is if you listen to an interview with George Lucas, the guy doesn't hide the fact that maybe he might have made a few mistakes in the prequel films, but at the same time, you saw the growth in the prequels. I mean, I don't think The Phantom Menace is a bad film. I mean, talk shit about Jar Jar all day, but at least they had one distinct character that was comic relief and not every fucking villain, you know? But, episode 2, I don't, episode 2 had its highlights, like Jango Fett flying his ship, shooting people and all that shit. Like, that was cool, and episode 3 was fucking awesome. I mean, come on. Episode 3 is probably one of the darkest films I've seen, in years. I mean, you don't see any, no one's willing, I mean, of course you knew what the story was going to be, somehow Anakin was going to become Darth Vader. That was the ultimate goal of those films, was creating his backstory and showing why he became that person. But seeing the destruction of the Republic and stuff was cool. I mean, it sucked, but it was like, it was a different tone for these, kiddie movies, which they were being labeled because of Jar Jar and everything, which they weren't kiddie movies. They never have been. And that's probably why The Last Jedi, I feel the way I do about it. That film is just, whatever. It is whatever it is. But the point of this video is about George Lucas and the fact that we still have the storyteller alive he's got the story in his head, and I wish somehow we could get it. And that's kind of like, as a Star Wars fan when I was a kid, and still being a Star Wars fan, it's just I'm not really happy with where the franchise has gone, but I wish we could kind of see what it would have been, because I think there were things that were being alluded to, and like even like those video games that were coming out the last few years, the Force Unleashed. Okay. Oh wow, Disney! I think you copied another title. But anyways, Force Unleashed. The main character in that film, he wasn't shit, but I mean, or in that game, he was able to pull down entire Star Destroyers and stuff with just the Force. And you think about that, and it's like, yeah, I mean, like Luke, it would possibly be conceivable that Luke would have been able to like force, in some kind of recollection of like, not recollection, but a throwback to the Yoda scene on Dagobah. You know how picking up one ship was impossible. Could you imagine if Luke had picked up all those AT-ATs and just freaking whoosh, or something? I mean, just crush them like freaking bottle cans or something. I mean, something else could have been done. But I can't, I'm not gonna sit here, I'm not a filmmaker, I'm just a freaking fan who is complaining, but it is what it is. So, I'm done bitching and moaning. This is like my first stream video of me just talking. So, alright.